Alright, what is going on, lovely boys and girls? It is time today to talk about some stuff. God, that sounded creepy. Anyway, today we are going to be talking about Battlefront 2 and which hero you should play as. So, that's gonna depend on a whole bunch of factors, your play style, how quickly you can gather battle points and what heroes are available, the abilities, and the game changes since release. So we're going to get into all of that, and yeah, I guess that's it. Alright, so the first thing that we need to consider when picking a hero. This one's going to be Kenobi, so it's all-out push, restrictive mind trick, and defensive rush. If you need a pause, you can to read all that. I'm just going to leave it up for about maybe 10 more seconds. The new thing, however, is the passive ability, the health on elimination. That used to be a very specific star card that you can get per character. Some characters, you couldn't get that star card. So some characters were immediately valued as lesser than others. Bosk, for example, doesn't need the star card because as long as you escape a fight, you can fully regenerate that 600 health. So while it's not a lot of health compared to other heroes that have, like Vader has up to like, I think it's 850 with his extra card, but yeah, so that is a big difference in the game now. Every single hero gets health on elimination. That's a major help, and that no longer plays a factor in which hero you should pick, so don't worry about that. Just want to let y'all know it did exist. Another thing is you need to figure out your play type. So my play style is very aggressive, but I also know when to retreat, and I stick with my teammates. That's another key factor in staying alive as a hero. So Kenobi is really great if you want to run alone and go take on individual villains, such as Darth Maul, Grievous. He's pretty good against Bosk. You just got to stay away from Bosk landmines. Count Dooku is the only one I really struggle as when playing as Kenobi to take down in a one-on-one situation. Every hero I talk about is going to be better when you have teammates by your side. So the most important thing is don't be too aggressive. Only push when your teammates are pushing. It is still a pretty team-based game, so try and stick with your teammates and you should be fine. I've played entire games as a hero just by staying with my team and pushing with them. Occasionally I'll be the one to lead the push to help them get past a certain point. However, I do typically stay as close as I can to my teammates. So let's get a little bit deeper into Kenobi. The best ability that he has, in my opinion, is the defensive saber rush, and I combine that with a star card that gives it a little bit more damage if I make contact with someone while doing the defensive saber rush. His resistive mind trick is pretty good. What that does is it pretty much gets people all confused and they can't use their abilities. It used to be pretty broken, but then they ended up taking the time back, so now it doesn't take quite as long to recover from that. Still a great ability. The one ability I do not like of Kenobi's is the all-out push, and let me tell you why. It's great if you've got someone really close to you and you just want to get a quick little whoosh push off, kind of like, what was that sound? Kind of like Luke's ability where he just does a quick little push and then you go flying, right? Well, Kenobi's can charge up for, I think it's up to 2 seconds, or maybe it's 3. Well, you just saw it right there. And it does send you flying, and typically it will be an insta-kill, just depending on how much health that enemy has. I believe for officers, assault, and specialists, it is an insta-kill if you charge it up all the way. However, if you notice, every time you do that all-out push, you stand still, which makes you an easy target, and you can't block any blaster fire coming your way. So if one of those big enforcers wanted to throw the big sonic imploder, I think is what it's called, and take probably a little more than half your health, they can do that, and you've now lost half your health. That's half your health that you need to make up by going and killing enemies strategically without losing any more health. So for that reason, I typically keep the all-out push tucked away in my back pocket as kind of like a last resort if I don't have any other abilities and I'm running out of options. I don't ever typically lead with that. As you see, I use defensive Saber Rush quite often, and it is nice because with that star card ability, it does make its damage much more severe for those opponents that maybe don't expect it to be doing as much damage. It's also nice that he blocks all the blaster fire headed his way as he's rushing, so it makes him a great aggressive unit. The last thing I want to talk about with Kenobi is his stamina. He has just as much stamina as Luke. However, I do believe it takes just a second longer to start regenerating that health, whereas Luke's will almost immediately start regenerating once you've used it. Other than that, Kenobi's a great all-around hero. He's probably my favorite Clone Wars hero to play as, and I guess the level I've got him at definitely shows it. I've got him at like 60-something, whereas the rest of my heroes are 51. I think Kenobi's almost level 70. But yeah, he's really easy to get the hang of, and he's a great starter hero if you're unsure of who to play as. Moving right along, here we are at Yoda, and as you can see, we've got Unleash, Presence, and Dash Attack are the 3 abilities that he has. He also has that passive ability. Like I said, every hero and villain is going to have that now. I'm going to leave that on the screen so y'all can read it for probably another 15 seconds. The big thing with Yoda is his Presence ability. They strongly encourage you to use Yoda in a group setting, surrounded by tons of troops or another hero, just some sort of friendly, so you can give them that extra health as well as boosting yourself for extra health. His dash attack is pretty amazing because you can slash them once with your saber and then use that dash attack to finish them off. And his third ability, that Unleash. Unleash is just like Luke's Force Push ability. I'm not going to do the whoosh again, but the difference is if you hold the block, Yoda pulls up a little palm. You all saw it in the movie, he absorbed the lightning from Palpatine. If you hold that for long enough and someone's shooting at you, you'll absorb that blaster fire into your palm, and then your, radius for Unleash will grow, meaning you can push people that are further away, and it's going to have more power on that attack. I personally love Yoda. He's probably my second or third favorite hero ever, at least in this game. They just made him so perfect, and he's not broken at all. He's actually well balanced. He's not too strong, but he's also not a weak character. I would much rather him over, let's say, yikes, can't think of anyone right now, but point is, he's a great character. Actually, I'd probably rather him over Chewie, but again, that just depends on the game mode. So for Supremacy, which is what I'm playing in this clip, yes, I would prefer Yoda over Chewbacca, but I am a relatively team-based player. Like, I tend to stick with my team. I'll only occasionally go off book, and when I do, I usually end up dying, but as you saw there, I was alone. I had no teammates supporting me, but I did end up getting Yoda back again because I had enough points, so that was great. If I were y'all, I would just take Yoda as a great starter hero. Like, if you need to learn how to play as a saber hero, Yoda's perfect for that. Another great thing about him is his size. He is the only hero with a lightsaber that is really, really hard to shoot at. I don't know how long you guys have been playing. I could get a variety of people watching this video, pros and amateurs. It just depends. I personally didn't realize that Yoda had a different hitbox, so that was a bit of an adjustment for me. But again, Yoda is just a fun character to play as, and if you're just starting off and you want to learn the game, I think he's a perfect character to go after if you see him available when you get enough points to play as a hero. I think that's about all I have to say for Yoda. I mean, he's just as fast as all the other heroes that are a normal height. His size just makes him really easy to control and evade enemies. Yeah, that's about it for Yoda. Moving on. Okay, now arriving at Chewbacca, we have the Shot Grenade, the Furious Bowcaster, and the Charge Slam. And I actually want to throw in a star card for him. I do recommend the bonus health for Chewbacca and both of his Furious Bowcaster booster cards. I believe one of them allows him to take less damage while he's using Furious Bowcaster, and then the other extends its duration every time he gets an elimination with it, which is really helpful because it extends it by, I think it's like 65% or something like that. But yeah, I'll let y'all read those if you want to pause the video. Chewbacca's actually, while I'll usually pick another character over him, he's one of my favorite heroes, and it's simply because of the way he can just shred another hero. It's that Furious Bowcaster ability that allows him to do this. If y'all have ever played as the Enforcer Wookiee, it has a similar ability where you can just, I guess, supercharge the bow. I'm not sure what it does exactly, but it increases the damage. You can shoot it a little bit faster than the normal bow, and it also gives you 2 extra little bullets that fire out to make kind of like a diamond, but turned sideways, rather than the normal 3 up and down or 3 to the side. It adds ones to the top and bottom, or if you're aiming in, it adds 2, 1 to the side, to the left side, and then 1 to the right side. It's kind of hard to describe, but yeah, the thing about Chewie is he used to be pretty rough, and now they've tweaked him actually relatively recently. If you aim in his bow, it'll take those 3 dots that you see and make them into 1 middle dot that's just a little bit bigger than the other 3, and it shoots a little bit more precise, which means it's harder to aim. However, if you stick a shot, it is an explosive shot. So I've seen some people aim at the feet, but the explosive damage isn't enough to take someone out unless you make direct contact. So he's a tough character to use if you can't aim in the game pretty well. You'll even see me struggle a little bit here and there. I end up getting some kills in these clips, but he is just a difficult character to use. One of the things I do like about him, however, is his ability to stand there and just unload. Like if Darth Maul is charging you, even if you want to stand there and take some damage, Darth Maul can keep swinging at you, and since you've got that star card for Furious Bowcaster, you'll take less damage and you'll be delivering massive amounts of damage to Darth Maul, which is absolutely game-changing, depending on which game mode you're in, of course. For Supremacy, when they're not doing any events and you can only have 2 heroes on the team at one time, then it really does change the game, because typically the hero is going to be either the first or the second place person on the team, which isn't to say they're better or anything like that, but they, odds are, get to the top of the leaderboard fastest and pretty often. So they've got experience using heroes. So if you can take out the hero and take their ability away to use the hero, you've probably just helped your team pretty significantly just by using Chewbacca. And you will see that I do get a little overwhelmed here, because it is difficult to play as Chewbacca and I don't have my team right next to me. So it does change the game. It's just like every hero though. You need to stay with your team if you want to stay alive and get kill streaks. I think that's all I'm going to talk about for Chewbacca. His charge slam's pretty good. If you've maybe damaged someone a little bit and you want to use a charge slam, it'll usually finish them off regardless of class. I think it does the same amount of damage. You can insta-kill a assault, not a heavy, an officer, and a specialist. So the normal 3 that have 150, and you'll see that Droideka just caught me off guard. I didn't think he'd be there. But yeah, that's probably the best way to use the charge slam, is to damage whatever enemy you plan on charge slamming and then finish them off with the charge slam. And now we're going to move on to the next hero. And now for our last but definitely not least hero, which is Anakin. And he actually has 4 abilities: Dominance, Heroic Might, Passionate Strike, and his 4th is Retribution. Now, the way Retribution works is you need to get kills, capture command posts, basically gather battle points, and that will charge up Retribution. Again, I'll leave this up so y'all can pause it and read it all. Anakin also has that passive ability, and I mean, I guess I could recommend battle cards for him. I'm always going to recommend more damage for a lightsaber. It almost doesn't matter what hero it's for. unless the star card specifically takes away something as a result of the more damage, such as stamina, for example, then I'm almost always going to recommend the more damage star card. And then on to his abilities. The dominance is his, how would I put it? It's like Darth Maul's chokehold, where he chokes and then he forces away. However, Anakin just pulls people towards him. I personally like to combine it with Heroic Might, because you pull enemies close, and if the enemies did not die by the actual pull itself, then you can use a Heroic Might quickly rather than charging it up and finish off that last little bit of health that the enemies had from surviving that. On to his next ability, the Passionate Strike, is definitely one of my favorites. I enjoy playing Anakin in Heroes vs. Villain because of his Passionate Strike ability. It makes him very easy to go up against villains. If you can take the villain's stamina away and then do a little bit of damage to him, let him get away, recharge that stamina. If he's blocking you with his saber, you can just cut past it if you use Passionate Strike. Passionate Strike is only dodgeable by using the roll or dash ability. It's the same button. It's going to be circle or B if you're on Xbox, or man, is it C for PC? I'm not 100% sure, but the dash ability that is so essential for the heroes. You see me dashing as almost my main way of moving around. I'll do that just as often as just running from point A to B. But you can just cut right through the enemy's block, and again, the only way it's dodged is through a dash or a roll. So it makes him very effective at finishing off heroes, or I guess I should say villains. Heroic Might, I should also mention, has a charge up, which will extend its base radius as well as its damage for the longer you hold it up. So that's another thing. He will take less damage as well if you are holding it up, which, I mean, again, is just another positive. When Anakin first came out, he was ridiculously broken, but they have tuned him back a little bit, so I'd say he's closer to balance, but I don't think he's quite there yet. And that's probably going to do it for this video. If y'all have any questions at all, anything I missed that I just maybe forgot to mention or just didn't think of at the time, let me know in the comment section, and then like or dislike the video if y'all felt strong enough about it, just letting me know what kind of content y'all want to see. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.